Hey, this is Rob, and you're listening to the Hidden Destination podcast. Well, today is August 29th, 2024, and I'll be recapping the 27th and the 28th. I didn't do an episode yesterday morning, mostly in part because the past couple days were a little bit shorter and a little bit less eventful, so I thought I'd condense 2 days into one podcast. As I mentioned in a previous podcast, I'm reducing some of the miles and some of the durations of the ride towards the end of this week, just because I put so many miles in the bank earlier on to make sure that I get down to St. Cloud in time to meet Claire. So I basically needed to reduce miles. I'm getting super close to St. Cloud. I'm recording this from Crow Wing State Park Campground. It's an awesome campground right on the Mississippi River. Actually, I can see the Mississippi River from here. It's a bit windy this morning. The skies look slightly ominous, but the sun's been peeking out a bit, so hopefully it'll stay dry. But yeah, we'll start with the ride day from the 27th. So the 27th, I did 51 miles with a little under 800 feet of climbing. I rode from Akeley City Park Campground to Pine River. Akeley City Park was quite an amazing city park campsite. As far as campsites go for cities, it was incredible, and that was a really cool town. It had that giant Paul Bunyan statue, which is cool to check out, and then it mostly went through. It started on the Heartland State Trail, and then went up to Walker, and then from Walker that turned into the Paul Bunyan State Trail, which then dropped you south. And Walker was a cool little town as well. It was felt like a bit of a milestone simply because the town of Walker appears as a terminus for many of the routes on adventure cycling. I think multiple of the northern tier chunks, and so I've seen the name Walker, Minnesota pop up so many times. So it was cool to be going through there. And then from Walker, I basically dropped south and pretty much followed the Paul Bunyan Trail all the way to here today, but went through the town of 2 days ago went through the town of Hackensack and Bacchus, Mildred, and then ended in Pine River, which was not quite what I was expecting. I thought Pine River was going to be a bit more touristy and scenic, but it was kind of a bit of a toilet. The game plan that night was there were multiple camp spots that I was looking forward to camping in. There was the City Park Campground, and there was a primitive site, and I went to what I thought was where the campsites were for the City Park campground, which was like really nice on the river, like a really nice sort of newer park with like a new pavilion and playground and all that. And I couldn't find the campsites, and ended up looking on Google a bit deeper. I was using the adventure cycling app, and it routed me down the street a bit away from the river towards this kind of dump of a campsite. And there was nobody there. It was kind of sketchy, and they wanted $30 a night for that. So I was like, I don't know about that. So I went to check out the primitive site that was off of the Paul Bunyan Trail, and thought, a free, maybe a bit less luxurious but free camping option would make more sense. And that unfortunately didn't end up panning out either. It was pretty far off the beaten path with no water, and I wasn't quite, budgeting that for the logistics of a full-on primitive site for the night. Plus, it was quite mosquito infested. And then it started raining, and it looked like there was rain coming in for the evening. So I opted in for spending a little bit more cash and getting a cheap motel. So that worked out well. And knew that I was going to be camping the following night because it was good weather. And so that was that. So I stayed at the Pine River Motel, which was it was perfect. So yeah, the next morning, hopped back on the Paul Bunyan Trail. My tailwind turned into a headwind for the day, and as I dropped south, it was definitely a noticeable headwind. And the towns that I passed through yesterday were really quite scenic and pleasant. Had the mileage lined up with sort of the days, those would have been cooler towns to stay in. However, I don't think there were many camping options, but passed through, I believe it's pronounced Pequot, Pequot, Pequot Lakes. And I got some coffee there, a second cup of coffee, because I was, despite getting a motel sleep, I was quite tired. And yeah, that was at the, I believe it was called the Latte Lakes coffee shop. And then went through Nisswa, the city of Nisswa, which was very cool. That was a really cool little town. They had a really nice City of Commerce visitor center with free maps of Minnesota, like really good maps. And yeah, a bunch of bars and restaurants, and it felt like kind of a little like western town. It was cool. Wish I could have spent a bit more time there, but wanted to get on my way. And then that whole section south of Pequot Lakes has just, as the name implies, just a ton of lakes, ton of vacation homes, and it was really nice. And then continued on south through Merrifield, and went and stopped at Baxter, the town of Baxter, to grab some food and some supplies at Walmart. And it was right off the Paul Bunyan Trail, which was super convenient. And then from there, just kind of meandered my way down the Mississippi. A little bit south of Baxter, you cross over the Mississippi, and then the Paul Bunyan Trail just continues snaking through some pretty scenic forest. And down there, there's just a bunch of pine, and it's sort of right on the edge of the Mississippi. It was really nice, and then the Paul Bunyan Trail just kind of loops you right into Crow Wing State Park, and that's where I spent the night last night into today. It was a very nice campground. Only $20 for a non-electric site, which was, compared to Pine River, that's not even. These are not even comparable sites. So that was a nice camping option here, and ended up getting in a bit earlier than with these low mileage days. I can definitely do more. So I had a campfire last night, and had a good dinner, and be setting off from here today. It looks like from what I can tell, the rail trail ends, and I'll be going through the town of Fort Ripley and Little Falls, and heading down to what's it called? Blanking on the name here. Heading down to Bullis. There we go. Where there's a couple options for overnight, but the one that seemed most appealing, I guess there's a little trailside cafe that I saw, because I've ridden through Bullis. I rode from Stillwater to Bullis before starting this big loop, and I remember seeing this cute little cafe, and I called. The Adventure Cycling app has, for camping options, I guess if you want to camp in the city park, you call this woman named Jordy who owns the cafe. And so I called her yesterday to inquire about camping at the city park. And she said, yep, that's an option. It's like $10. You just pitch your tent right in the park. And she's like, but here at the cafe, we also have a little cycling only, if you're a cyclist, we offer this little bunkhouse option as well, which has a kitchenette, and I guess it's connected to the cafe. And from what I could tell by the cafe, looking at pictures, the cafe looks so cool, and it was only a little bit extra to do the bunkhouse option. So I'm always a sucker for cyclist only options. So I said, all right, put my name down for that, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be kind of cool, and I think there's some thunderstorms coming in tonight, perhaps. So be good to stay dry. So yeah. It's a bit shorter day today, and I'll probably have another episode released tomorrow morning, and about today, depending on how it goes. And that's about it. So, from Crow Wing State Park, until next time, ta-ta.